50 points higher now on the bank nifty. Remember, this is on top of the 1200 point rally that we had on Friday as well. So looking quite good over there. We have our market master for the day now joining us. Krishna Kumar Karwa, MD of MK Global, is now joining us. Krishna, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Banks, they have underperformed, but of late there's a massive surge happening. And you saw what happened to SBI. Your thoughts on how to approach the large financials now?
Good morning and thank you for inviting me. Yeah, so I have been coming on your channel very regularly, and even the last time when I came, I did mention that the top pick for the set, if you have to buy incremental, then the financials and specifically banks are the places to be incrementally investing in. So the results have been very good by some of the private sector majors and now from some of the large public sector majors. And the valuations are still very attractive. And if you are playing the domestic economy coming back with a vengeance once the lockdowns across the country opens up, then banks are supposed to be the place where there is maximum leverage that you can play with, and they should continue to do well. So we continue to remain bullish on the banking sector as a whole. I have a feeling now that the large private banks, they are sufficiently owned, but there is a massive under ownership as far as some of the second tier private banks are concerned, and even some of the top public sector banks are concerned. So incrementally, possibly you would see more investment for the returns for investors would possibly come from investing into the second tier private sector banks and the top tier public sector banks.
Okay, Mr. Karwa, I distinctly remember you saying this and saying it repeatedly, that you would bank on financials and you would bank on financials. So, just to scratch the point further, would you now go down the ranks in terms of public sector banks as well, the larger ones, now that SBI has shown the way?
See, definitely, I think as far as the opportunity is concerned in terms of the economy itself, yes, there is a massive opportunity for credit growth. Many of these banks have provided sufficient provisions have been made by them over the last few years. So there are no hidden baggages that any of these public sector banks carry. And I think they have got their act together. And as far as availability of capital, which was a challenge for many of these banks, maybe say 6-9 months ago, I think investors today are in a position and willing to give them the required capital. So then there is no reason for some of these banks to be able to grow. Valuations are attractive. So yeah, you should be looking at maybe some of the top tier public sector banks. I'm not talking of the smaller public sector banks, but the top 2, 3, 4. I think they have proved themselves in terms of getting their act together, and they should definitely get investor support. And mind you, I think many of us have got trained in the last 10 years to just avoid the public sector bank, public sector unit. So there is a lot of resistance to investing, and I think maximum money is made by investors when the consensus is not there.
Okay, fair point. I just wanted to ask about realty also. That also was avoided, but after the last lockdown, a lot of people moved in. Is there still value in realty?
Definitely. I mean, last time also I had mentioned that realty should do well. I think there are 2-3 reasons. One is the amount of consolidation that has happened in the industry post the various regulations that have been introduced. So there are only say 5-10 players and maybe not many national players. So we have good regional players and a few maybe national players. I'm sure they would be the one who would be gaining the maximum in this consolidation which is happening in the industry. All of us know about the low interest rates and the demand for affordable housing or mid-sized housing across markets. But having said that, I would believe that I think the Mumbai market possibly offers the maximum opportunity. So a few players from this market should be looked to be investing in, and maybe one of the national players.
Okay, Krishna, what about this commodity play? Any pockets that you would want to invest in at current levels?
Yeah, I think interesting thing which has happened this time around is look at the debt reduction that most of the commodity stocks have shown. I think those companies, so I think in the last 2, 3, 4 years, we saw a lot of consolidation where many of the weak players got acquired through various NCLT processes. And so there is a huge amount of consolidation which has happened in the industry, and they have been, so these players who were standing last man standing kind of, I think they have made the maximum in this rally, and the debt reduction augurs very well for the future. So this is something different than what we have seen earlier. I mean, the debt reduction is something which is going to help valuations improve for some of these stocks going forward also. Globally, yes, there is some kind of a breather as far as commodity prices are concerned. And I believe that maybe the commodity stocks also will see some kind of a breather. But structurally, I believe that the improving balance sheets of many of these companies augurs very well, and maybe we will settle at a higher valuation than what we have possibly seen in earlier times.
How are you positioned on autos and auto ancillaries now, Mr. Karwa? I'm asking because, some of these players have done pretty well, especially the ones that have a global exposure now that Europe and America has opened up. Anything that you still like in that space?
So we are positive on the commercial vehicle segment, where we believe that from a cyclical perspective, I think they are in for an upcycle. And so the stocks in that segment should do very well. And you obviously have some of the exposures that you can get by one of the domestics in by also the global market. So that company also should deliver well. As far as the two-wheelers are concerned, I think there is a decent amount of stock in the system, and I believe that the valuations are reasonable. So we are not so positive in terms of relative returns for the two-wheeler segment, and possibly from an electric vehicle perspective, maybe that will be the first one to get disrupted. So we are positive on the auto sector selectively. As far as the passenger vehicle sector is concerned, I think the industry major have not delivered, as far as stock market is concerned, any returns for the last 4-5 years. Possibly the time has come for it to also deliver investor returns. Demand, there is no issue. I think whenever things open up across the country, we should see a massive demand as far as the four-wheeler sector is concerned.
Okay. Mr. Karwa, the mid caps, you've alluded to indirectly, they've had I think 20% gain at an index level itself year to date. They've been outstanding outperformers. Should you fish more in those waters? And if yes, which are the themes? I mean, you have the specialty chemicals, pharmaceuticals, PLIs. Give us some guidance to the extent you can.
You rightly alluded. I think from year to date, mid caps, small caps have returned around 20-22% on an index basis, versus I think the Nifty or the large cap indices delivering say 7-9% kind of a return. So there has been a massive outperformance as far as the small cap, mid cap is concerned. In fact, if you now look at on a 5-year basis, the small cap, mid cap indices have delivered returns which are almost at par with what the Nifty has delivered. So that calls for a word of caution as far as the investments on a broad market basis is concerned. So there is a huge amount of euphoria, and many laggards are also in the small cap, mid cap, are seeing a lot of retail investor interest. So the way I would look at it is that smart investors should be using this euphoria in small mid cap to exit some of the weaker stocks which possibly are getting valued at far higher than what they deserve. It's an opportunity for getting out of your errors, if I can say that. But having said that, I think to look at small cap, mid cap from a sectoral perspective will not be the right way to assess them. I think small cap, mid cap investing, as I've always been saying, is all about bottoms up investing. And on a bottoms up basis, I'm sure there will be many opportunities. Some of the sectors which I believe still have a lot of tailwinds and they should possibly give you opportunities to invest in is, I think, I would say the real estate ancillary, which would possibly include the building materials, the pipes, the consumer durables, because if you believe that there is going to be a massive real estate further improvement in demand, then all these sectors by definition will be benefited. And some of the stocks over there are still reasonably valued. So that is one segment that I find it interesting. Secondly, looking at the massive interest that investors today have, the number of investors which have grown, I think the whole capital market intermediaries and capital market infrastructure companies, they still offer a lot of very good opportunity for investing from a medium-term perspective, whether you're looking at the wealth management firms, the brokerage houses, the exchanges, the depositories, I think the whole place looks very interesting from an investment perspective. So these are some of the ways you can play the small cap, mid cap theme.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Karwa. It was extremely enlightening, but we are running into earnings season and a lot of earnings analysis. Thank you very much. The JSW management is waiting for us. You may want to listen in. Thanks a lot. Okay, so like we said, JSW posted a strong fourth quarter number. The domestic EBITDA